Hey everyone, so this is the new episode of this podcast, and today's my guest, Luka Šikic. He's a CTO and co-founder at Onpreo, and we will talk a little bit more about this startup and his other experiences in this podcast. But Luka, why don't you go from here? Maybe you could introduce yourself a little bit more to the audience.
Yes, sure, Danny. Thanks for introducing me. Thanks for having me on the pod. Like you said, I'm CTO and co-founder of Onpreo, which is a CRM for real estate agents and realtors. And we're currently operating in Germany, Switzerland, and Austria with it. And we are primarily focusing on the marketing and acquisition part. So how do you get in more deals, especially now during times where interest rates are high and people are not actually buying that many homes. So that's what we're focusing on. It's actually a rather funny story how we ended up there, but we can move into that later.
Yeah, sure. That's precisely what I wanted to talk about. But
Mhm.
let's take a step back, maybe go all the way back to maybe childhood or high school. Was there a specific moment when you knew you wanted to become an entrepreneur or a startup founder, or maybe you started with your first job as an employee? How did that go?
I don't think there was a precise moment where I decided that I wanted to be a founder, entrepreneur, whatever. I kind of moved into that and saw that that's something I like to do and enjoy. So in high school, I never thought about that, to be honest. So in high school, I did start programming rather early. So was modding games, like a lot of children, I think that later on went into the tech industry. And I also played a lot of basketball during that time. And I think it was more at the end of high school that I saw the opportunity to move more into programming myself. So I then started programming my first app while I started studying and launched that one also then I think 1 year, 1.5 years later. Um, and moved from there. So it was kind of a transition into that. And I think if my father never would have told me, hey, why don't you try developing your own app, I would have never gotten the idea to move into that.
Wow, so that it was your father who actually encouraged you to try to build your own thing, right?
So it's not like he told me, hey, why don't you do that? It's gonna be great or something. When I was 11 years old, he just told me while I was playing games, hey, why don't you just maybe write a few own levels or something? And that's how I
Yeah.
started, just scripting own levels, scripting everything that happens in there. And then at the end of high school, he just told me, hey, did you see what's going on with mobile apps? Why don't you try something like that? And he just told me, hey, why don't you try it? And it just, I don't know, it just was in my head after that, and I moved forward with that.
Is he also a software engineer, or is he kind of far away from this field?
He was working in telecommunications as a project manager, technical manager, etc. So not a lot of hands-on programming, especially later on. But he did know how to program, so I was able to actually ask someone if I had problems with it.
Cool. And what was your first programming language?
That was Lua. So a
Hmm.
lot of scripting done in Lua. My first app was also written in Lua using another SDK, and then building it for iOS and Android. So
Hmm.
rather experimental build when I started out.
And what year that was when you started experimenting?
With the mobile app, I think it was 2015, 2014, 2015 that I started just thinking about it. And then it took me like half a year to decide what I want to do. And then I started creating everything. So I had to do everything myself, starting with the assets for the game. I actually tried to draw everything myself as well. So that took quite a lot of time, not only the programming, but I learned from that. So I spent quite a lot of time in just creating all the assets, coding everything together, just to realize after the launch, okay, maybe it's not the best idea to have another game in an already full app store that's just full of games. So yeah, that was my first mistake, I think. I just wanted to build something that I liked. And in the end, I wanted to finish it and I wasn't happy with it, launched it. I think I got about 300, 400 downloads for it first month. And then it just dropped second month to 150 downloads, and third month it was back to zero. So I did not do any marketing or anything. It was just purely programming, creating the products, and that was a nice experience, but I would not recommend anyone doing it that way again.
And it was in high school or already in college?
That was already in college, yeah. That was so it started. I started after high school looking into what I could do or what I would try to do in the mobile domain, and then I think either first or second semester I started programming it.
Interesting. Yeah, I was also curious about Lua programming language because, as far
Mhm.
as I remember or know, on iOS, probably at that time, the more prevalent programming language might have been Objective-C
Yes.
or Swift,
It
was it?
was it was still Objective-C, I think, and then it transitioned somewhere around there into Swift, but don't quote me on that. I'm not entirely sure anymore. Uh,
No worries.
I wanted something that was that I could run on both operating systems right away, and I used um, an SDK called Corona SDK for it, which actually built all of the Lua code for both platforms, which was rather nice. I'm not sure if they're around anymore. Anyone's working with that SDK. Never checked after that anymore, but it was a fun experience working with.
Yeah, yeah. So you mentioned some of the mistakes and learnings you had after that
Mhm.
project. Maybe anything else you could share, what not to do, and maybe what you learned, what you maybe done
Mhm.
right in the first time during that
Mhm.
project.
So I think maybe just to start with the learnings, what I took from it, um, I especially took out that I should first check what I'm building actually. So is there any demand for it? Is there a demand for another game? What is actually used currently? I did work myself into a lot of other apps and just checked, okay, how are they doing advertising? Had some advertisers in the game as well, but I over-engineered it from the start and never got the amount of users so that to make it relevant. And then, yeah, that was the biggest learning. So first check out if there's any demand. But what was positive from it was just finishing my first own project, just from building from nothing more or less, building a whole app out, and that just gave me the confidence to move forward with it because I just proved to myself, okay, I can do it. Wasn't the best idea that I actually started with, but I proved myself I can do it. I can finish it, bring it in into the app stores. And after that, I even got an internship at Porsche, which was just great. Had a great mentor there as well. Shoutouts to
Hmm.
him if he's listening. And yeah, have a lot of thanks for him also mentoring me how to actually manage projects after that. So that was also a mobile app we did there, Porsche Track Precision app, and also later the Porsche Off-Road app. And that was just a lot of fun because you already saw, okay, how are you working in a big firm and a big company? How are they developing? And you actually realize it's always just a few people working on those projects, and what they're actually creating is still very amazing. So,
Yeah, yeah. But going back to the your first project,
mhm,
I'm curious, how do you actually make that research on the demand and if there
mhm,
is a market opportunity for a game? Because, like in my mind, I haven't worked too much in this video game industry, but it's not something trivial to realize, hey, maybe people will like this game, maybe they will not. Do you like encourage looking into what competitors are doing, or what's the ideal plan in your opinion?
I want to be very honest with you. I don't know how I would move forward with games right now. It's been quite a long time, and after that, I decided I don't want to create another game. But maybe just to yeah, stick to that question, how would I move forward when founding anything else? First, would be finding a problem that's actually worth solving. So find a niche, find a market where people actually have problems. That could be something very simple. It could be a market where there's not enough digitization in there, where they're working just with pen and paper still. Could be something super easy like that, or they're just working with spreadsheets, doing quite a lot of manual work, and just try to automate a lot of those things. And as soon as you have the yeah, problem that you actually found in there, try to validate it with potential customers. So for both Smashleads and Onpreo, when we founded them, the most important question was, is there actually a market for it? Do we have something that's worth building? So what we did was plain and simple, just talk to customers, talk to potential customers, find out what are they lacking in current software that's out there, what are they lacking in general, how are they working, just understanding how are people currently working, and then trying to find a problem they actually have, and then validating, is this problem worth solving? Which is it's sounding abstract, but in the easiest form, it's really just talking to people.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, and going back to that first internship in Porsche, you mentioned that it opened your eyes a little bit about how the product is actually built in companies.
Mhm.
So what was maybe your learning there? Because before that, you kind of figured out on your own everything, and now you see how they actually do that. So what maybe was the most eye-opening part of it?
So it showed me that I did do some of the things rather right in the beginning, just on how I'm moving forward with the process of developing it, but structuring it in a better way with teams was what I actually took away from it. So I did work alone on the app. I did not have anyone helping me out with it, and learning how to structure it with teams, especially if you have outside service providers that are either doing the design or the development. Um, that was one of the biggest learnings in how to manage those, how to manage expectations to the people that are actually stakeholders in the project. Um, just the same things you can translate to investors later on, I would say. So you always have someone that has an interest in it, be it a customer, be it an investor, be it developer, other firm you're working with, how to manage all those expectations, all those stakeholders. And that was something that I took away clearly from it. And then also just small things like how are you managing the project, using like sprints, working in sprints in there. How are you managing so, like the design process first and then the development? How are you going about testing? How are you going about releasing update notes? Just those small little details that you know you have to do when you're creating your own project, but it can get quite a lot if you don't go about it in a structured way.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so you had that internship, and what happened next before you started your first startup, Smash Leads? But before that, you probably worked on something else, right?
I actually finished my studies. I did study at RWTH Aachen University in Germany. Um, And during those studies, I did work as a freelancer as well, and also worked as a software engineer for other companies, just to get in a lot of experience there, see what are the current tech stacks that are used to solve certain problems, which I knew I need to do. I never wanted to go back again into using something experimental like Lua and Corona SDK or something like that. So just learning tech stacks that are used, learning what I like and what I'm efficient in using. Um, And then in late 20, no, in mid to 2019, we founded Smash Leads. That was actually also a rather interesting story because we met on Xing, which is the German version of LinkedIn. My co-founder Noah, later co-founder then, wrote me a message on Xing just asking, "Hey, do you want to
Mhm.
work with us on a startup? We're doing lead generation using AI." And I don't know, I think a lot of software engineers can relate to that, but on Xing or LinkedIn, it sometimes feels like you're a girl on Tinder, getting yeah, just getting projects in, offers in, um, and sometimes you just ignore those. I always feel bad ignoring
Yeah.
that, but you're getting so many of those that you're just ignoring it. Um, and I just ignored him, I think, for a week. Then he wrote me again, "Hey, I'm in Aachen. Should we just meet for a coffee and I will explain to you what we're doing?" And I was like, "Okay, why not? Let's just listen to what he has to say." And in that coffee meeting, he actually explained to me what he wants to do with Smash Leads, how great it is. Actually also showed me how they talk to customers, what customers wanted, and there we already had the first talks with real estate agents. But we started there with real estate agents, moved in Smashes then to whole other target groups, and then just went full cycle back to Onpreo with real estate agents. Um, but yeah, that's how that started, and that was yeah late 20 or yeah mid 20 2019. And I also finished my studies then, so we founded it while I was still doing my master's.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. And you basically continued with this startup for a while, right?
So Smashes is still around. So we automated most of the business, um, uh, and we still have it around, which was nice. So we bootstrapped that out of nothing, and for our first company, we are pretty happy with it. But we also took a lot of learnings out of it, how to move forward, how to go into investor meetings later on, etc. Because we never wanted to take on funding and Smash Leads.
And can you share maybe some basic numbers on how much did you grow with it? Maybe if you can share the
Mhm.
exact MRR, maybe just figures or number of
Mhm.
employees, just to get an idea how big is the
Mhm.
company?
So for Smash Leads, we always try to keep it lean. As I said, we bootstrapped it, so we always had to look at our money. And with software as a service businesses, you mostly have to invest quite heavily first into figuring out, okay, is there actually a problem, and then building the product and then scaling. So it always takes a little bit of time. After I think we launched the MVP after 5 months. That one I coded mostly myself, and later on we took on a working student who's actually working till this day as well on other projects with us. Um, and then after I think 1 year, we already were six figures in ARR, um, which we were proud of. And somewhere around 2021, we got an offer from an investor to actually found Onpreo with the pre-seed funding from his side. And we said, okay, we were not really happy how we were moving forward with Smash Leads, and we wanted to try something new. And then we founded Onpreo basically on that. And then we got the second investment offer 7 months after it, and we just saw, okay, that's the right way to go for us right now.
Mhm. So do I understand it correctly that basically you were working on Smash Leads, it didn't grow super fast, and at some point you decided to take that money from an investor
Mm.
to basically create a net new company which works in the same industry, but it's kind of still a separate venture. The first one, it's still working, it's still in more automated version, but you are more focused on Preyos since
Yes.
then.
So we are focused on Preo. We are still doing some updates on Smash Leads every now and then, and also trying to care about our enterprise customers we still have there. We essentially did not have the same vision to move forward with it. So maybe just to reiterate what Smash Leads actually is, because it's not entirely the same industry and it's working in a different way. So Smashleads is a B2B SaaS as well for building interactive forms or lead generators. So we had in the beginning quite a lot of just random customers, I would say. So a lot of real estate agents, people from insurance companies, people from financing companies. We had people selling cars through it. We had people selling sex toys through it. So everything just that people wanted to market, they used Smashleads for. So quite interesting to see. And then later on, we figured out, okay, it was easier for us to onboard agencies into it. So agencies that are actually managing other customers' marketing budgets, other companies' marketing campaigns. And we just were able to onboard those faster. So that was our biggest rise in ARR then. And we just didn't really agree in the founding team where to move forward with it. So we could have just stayed in this interactive form builder domain. We were thinking, okay, should we go into more of a holistic approach, going to landing pages, maybe going further into how to find other use cases for agencies that we could solve. And there wasn't like a grand vision. So like I said, it was our first company. We actually built what we wanted to build, and we could have maybe taken on money to just grow the core product. But like I said, for that we would have needed the same vision for it, and we did not have that.
And what's your biggest takeaway from Smash Leads, or maybe again mistakes or learnings?
There again, kinda is connected to what I also learned from my first app. So how do you go about building things? And it wasn't the product this time. It was more the prioritization for features, because you are talking to a lot of customers again. You're talking to people that have different needs for the same software you have. So how do you actually decide which features to build? We had people, agencies have again different demands than maybe just a real estate agent or an insurance company. So how are you prioritizing what you're building? And we did make the mistake quite a lot of times to decide on the wrong feature, which took us then time, and we weren't able to get in other customers that wanted other things. So just learning how to prioritize, which both the learning from my first app and the learnings from Smashleads actually gave us the possibility to build on Prio in a very fast way, just because we already knew where we failed in the first time.
And the team in Smash Leads, was it the founding team? Was it just your co-founder and you, or were there any other people on board?
We were three people. So it was my co-founder Noah, and Christian was the other co-founder. So Noah was mainly responsible for the sales, and Christian for the marketing, and I did the product then. And it was so when the founder came to us, he also proposed that we just stick together and build on Prio then together as well, and that's what we did then.
And how did that investor approach you?
Mhm.
Did you already know him? What was the process of fundraising with that
So
investor?
most of the people we know from Smashleads, because we had people using it and loving the product, and we had quite a lot of offers from customers from Smashleads to build other products with them. Since those were agencies that were always trying to move into software, there's this rather popular model that you first build your agency, try to figure out the problem, you first do the manual work more or less, and then you move into the software business from there on out. And that's what quite a lot of people wanted. Our investor wasn't one of those. He was a real estate developer, real estate agent, and he has other projects as well. And he just basically told us, let's build this because I know this will work. Here's the proof for it. And we were quite hesitant in the beginning because real estate itself went so it already showed signs of going down then when we were approached, just the whole real estate industry, and it's still going down, or just right now maybe at the bottom where it should be. And we were not sure if we should do that, but we took on the risk And we saw, okay, this will work because we are actually giving transparency to the market, so everyone understands what's happening.
Hmm. So basically, this real estate person, your future investor, approached you. They offered you the deal basically to invest some money into your company to create this new thing. And was it like a typical pre-seed round where you just raise some sum, you then hire some people? So basically, how did you use that investors' money to grow the company to build this thing?
So we try to be super efficient again from our bootstrap days. So not hiring a lot of people right away, but hiring the right people. So after that, I think we in the first month we tried to set up everything that we needed to build this company, and we also needed to automate all the processes at Smashlead still. So we had a 2 month transition period um, where parts of the team at Smashlead that were still there we're working on automating everything, figuring out the last features, stabilizing everything. And part of the team already moved on to Onpreo. And then we also started hiring people for Onpreo, but not a lot. I think we started out with 8 people then, something like that. And we never wanted to scale it to a lot of people because the more people you have in your company, the harder it gets to communicate again. And you also have quite high costs in just all of your employees. So we always try to keep that down, but hire the right people that we want to work with, that we can trust. And so far, I would say we did a good job at that. So let's hope it also stays that way.
Yeah, and did you also mention that you also had a second round of investment after that?
Yeah, so we also had a second round after that, which was also quite funny because those investors were also customers at Smashlys prior to that that liked what we were doing. So they also came in. I think they approached us 7 months after we launched, and then we finalized all of the deals 4 months later. So it took us quite a while to find where we want to be, to find the right balance. And then we also moved to Switzerland with our company because it just worked out for us fine then.
So you physically moved your office and like
Yes.
full-time employees to be
No,
in
so we are
Switzerland?
spread out. So we have employees in Germany, Switzerland, and in Ukraine. So we did not require everyone to move, especially because living costs in Switzerland are quite high. And we did not want everyone to move because we decided that. So we are still working quite a lot in home office, and that worked out for us during Corona as well. So we are already used to it.
And how much, uh, like maybe in sales to your customers, since you operate in this real estate
Mm.
industry, how much important is like in-person connection and actually meeting people in this company, in this product?
So we are meeting with the team. We try to do it at least like once a month or twice or once every 2 months. And we do have our strategy meetings and board meetings in person. Um, just because we have we still feel like the communication is better if you are in person than just always over Zoom. But most of the time we are working remotely.
Mhm. And maybe you cannot share everything, of course, but
Mhm.
maybe just trends. How much did you grow from those early stages of just getting money into the company, hiring employees? How successful the company was since then?
So I would say rather successful. I'm not allowed to share any details about it though. But considering we have a downturn in how many real estate agents are operating in Germany and we are still growing, while a lot of competitors are either not growing or losing customers or going bankrupt, I would say we did a pretty good job about it. Um, but that's mostly due to our core product, which is we call it the price finder. Um, its core purpose is to bring transparency into the market. So not only for the real estate agent to understand the prices, but also for people that are trying to sell their houses. Um, like I said, there's not a lot of people buying currently. There's definitely a drop since 2021 um, in how many real estate was sold. Um, and people are expecting other prices. So whenever I'm talking to customers and they show me how long they have real estate in their inventory, it's quite a difference to before. But with our price finder, we can actually bridge that gap in knowledge, just so the real estate agent can actually transparently explain to his potential customers, hey, this is how we have to go about it. We maybe might need to lower the price, especially if you want to sell fast. But this is why it is. I'm not trying to rip you off. This is because the market conditions are like that. So we are showing the interest rates, we are showing all the relevant data in there. And everyone has to feel comfortable with it. Selling your house is or selling your apartment is a very emotional experience for most people because it's not something you're doing every day. You might do that. So people might buy a home or sell a home once in their life, twice in their life, maybe, and they want someone to actually explain to them how to get the best deal out of it. And other events when people are selling houses are mostly also emotional. So either in a divorce, maybe you are already more or less in a lot of stress because of lawyers, maybe because you um, had issues with your spouse. So you might not think rational about it, or you want to still get something good out of it. And giving that transparency in that period of your life is just helpful. Same thing if you want to sell your house because you want to, or you're too old, you want to downsize, maybe you want to move into an apartment or something. Um, so all highly emotional transactions, I would say, and giving this transparency just makes it easier for people to understand what their options actually are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. And how hard it is to operate in this market that isn't growing very
Mm,
fast or even going down a bit? What's the challenges that you face in the company, and maybe some strategies that you
mm,
can share, how you deal with that?
mm. So it's really about bringing value. There's a lot of real estate agencies going out of business right now, and we try to actually save them I really say try because we can't do everything. But we try to help them not go into bankruptcy. We try to help them give them transparency. Um, and yeah, we have rather low prices as well for our software just so they can start out. And if they need anything else, they can always ask us to help them. So if they, for example, need landing pages, a website, marketing contents, or even marketing services, we either provide landing pages ourselves, marketing contents ourselves, or we have a rather good network of marketing agencies since we worked with many of those in our times with Smash Leads. So we have a rather good network of people we can recommend if someone really wants to still invest into the market.
Yeah, interesting. And again, since it's been, I guess, 2 years since you started on Preo, right?
Yes, it's going to be 2 years in 2 months. Not even
Cool.
two
Yeah.
months, 1 month. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, what were maybe the new learnings that you got in on Preo,
Mm-hmm.
or again, maybe things you don't want to do again if
Mm-hmm.
you have a chance? Anything from that experience?
Moving into partnerships with other companies faster, even. So we are working with quite a lot of mm, partners that either provide us with data or provide us with different APIs. And with Smashleads, we did connect to APIs, but I wouldn't stop there. So that was maybe like a transitional learning from Smashleads and early on Preo, that we took from there. Don't just integrate with an API, really reach out to those companies, try to figure out what is a good business model for both of them. Maybe you even can you can even co-brand a product with them and also work together with them. If the market's, especially if the market is down right now, everyone is trying to figure out what to do right now. And if it's bigger companies and you're coming in as a startup, you want to partner with them, it can be beneficial to both sides. So that's something we started doing, I think in April this year. We should have done that earlier, maybe. But that was a big learning because that makes a lot of things easier. You get other inputs from the market again. They have other experiences that they can share with you. And you just learn more about your target customer again. So you always have maybe a skewed or biased view on your customer base, depending on who is actually using your software right now. So depending on how you're doing your marketing, how you're doing your sales, you get quite a lot of customers in, but it's still just a fraction of the whole market. And if they give you inputs about a different part of the market you maybe never thought about, maybe bigger companies or companies that are operating in a different way, you learn that, you can adapt to that, and also find a way to get those companies to also work with you with minimal or not that big of an effort because you already have the base for it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, so one of the last questions, what advice would you give to yourself 5 years ago? So with that knowledge that you had with two startups, maybe other companies or whatever experience you had, what maybe a single piece of advice you would give to yourself?
Focus. Focus is the most important thing. And as you heard from a lot of my points in history, there was always two things, three things I was doing at the same time. So doing my studies while developing an app, working as a freelancer, software engineer while studying still. I still finished my master thesis while I was building Smashlead. So again, two things. Um, I did write a paper after the master thesis as well, which was also taking time from me. So I had always days where I was thinking in two different domains, especially because my master thesis and the paper later on was more in the data science machine learning part for breast cancer. And in my like daily life, I was working with agencies, marketing funnels, etc. So just totally different things. And for on Preo, then the most important learning was focus on building what needs to be built, and focus also mentally on where you want to go.
Perfect, perfect. And before we end, maybe any last minute advice or things you wanted to share with anyone maybe starting their own startup, maybe just going into this programming world or just anything?
Yeah, super simple actually. Just do it. Like programming, you get better in programming by programming. You get better in building startups by building startups. And whatever you do there, you can't consume enough content at some point and at some point just say, okay, now I consumed enough content, now I learned everything there is, and then you start building your startup and it just hits you like a truck that you have to do something different about it. So really start building. We build features we never thought of building just because we got that feedback from customers. So just start. If it's programming, program. If it's building startups, start building.
Amazing, amazing. All right, thanks, Luca, for coming, for your amazing insights. Thanks for your time. Glad to have you again in the future if you want sometime. But yeah, amazing episode. Thanks.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation, Danny.